Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. You'll be shocked to learn that a man trusted by America's Rick Harrison, the star of a revered parent figure, is a porn star. Emblem of the American dream. He was awarded the millions of people's hearts with his charm behind, teaching the world at the pawn shop counter how to uncover treasure in the forgotten. But what if all of that opulence and splendor was merely a front for a terrible secret? What if the American hero was actually a contemporary monster concealed underneath cordial handshakes, amicable jokes, and what if his own daughter had been the victim? A girl who has been silent for years, suffering up to this point. She's shattering her. She is prepared to disclose all in silence. In court, and her words may cause the country as a whole, what actually took place behind closed doors. Why the world didn't come out of the courtroom, realize that everything will be made public, correct? Stay here. Tuned under the bright lights of Las Vegas, where gold is exchanged for dreams, Rick Harrison appeared tall and silver. His piercing smile is an untouchable icon. With wise eyes, he was the center of the reality show Pawn Stars, which evolved into the pawn store for gold and silver into a household name. Alongside his son Corey is a confident and gregarious young man. They created the appearance of a classic. A hilarious and hard-working American family, tight-knit, and everything they touched indicated a tale, and viewers believed they understood. The Harrisons treat each other like family, although the lighting is an ideal way to conceal a mask. The most sinister truths hidden under the shadow of their opulent home located far away from the girl lived in silence, out of sight of cameras. The adopted daughter of Rick was taken in during a new charity event was promised. Life, but nobody knew who she was or had any pictures, not a single second on social media. She appeared to be a spirit caught in a screen, the actual house that was meant to be her family, although it's cold today. She entered the Clark County courtroom into the light, revealing a terrible reality. Her account is more than just a tale. It's a shocking revelation that could tear apart the deal representation of the Harrison empire. What took place behind those closed doors, and why the world was unaware of the Clark County District Court courtroom, felt tense, as though the air itself had been crushed and sucked out by. The weight of an impending truth disclosed that she had climbed onto the observer stand no more as a ghost, not the shadow that is invisible inside Rick Harrison's mansion, but a fire currently poses a threat to destroy an empire based on false information. The young lady's icy, haunted eyes broke the silence before speaking. They alternated with me, and her voice was stable, yet it cut through the courtroom like a 5-word razor, but they landed trembling like a bomb. Public trust, legal defense in every way. Rick and Corey Harrison's stronghold had constructed their reputation around her. Not only was the testimony painful, but was a terrifying excursion into the child's nightmare, after being deprived of anything from her early years to her trust. Her voice was terrible as she described everything. Lucidity from the age of 10 immediately following. She was adopted by Rick from a gaudy charity. She was dragged into a living hell. As a result, it was family love, she added, gripped the stand and murmured, but it was dread. Not control, she said, explained how Rick's smile used to be cherished. Millions of people were changed behind closed doors into a hideous creature, and Corey, her adopted brother, whom she previously hoped would shield her, but instead turned into sometimes even more vicious, an accomplice compared to Rick. They didn't only mistreat, they physically and mentally manipulated her. They assured her that nobody would ever believe them. Who would trust a nameless person after all? Kid over adored television personalities. Yet, what absolutely left the courtroom silence was more than simply what she said. It was the mountain of proof that the prosecution subsequently disclosed, each piece striking like the ideal image is being torn apart by the dagger. Investigators' knowledge of the Harrison family had raided a secret safe within Rick's mansion, a basement that he called the treasure trove. However, rather than gold, they discovered dozens of antiquities, hard disks, that are heavily encrypted, and locked behind steel and biometric scannings, strengthened walls in cases when digital forensic. Finally, Experts opened them up. Even the most experienced agents were shook. Hundreds of folders with date labels, comprising surveillance footage taken by every area of the home's corridors, kitchens, living rooms, and the majority of unsettlingly, there is a hidden camera within, these in her private bathroom mirror. The purpose of the movies was not home security, were for following her and observing her at all times. Every second of her life was captured on camera, like prey under continual observation, hunted into the place where she should have been, home. But the difficult part didn't end there. Additionally, discs held folders containing titles that make people sick, such as Family Time with ashaky but determined voice. The prosecutor explained their contents, videos showing terrible deeds each one. That is exactly in line with the young woman's handwritten journals had concealed for 6-year-old ink-smudged notebooks, concealed under her bedroom's flooring, were in line. After the agonizing line on March 12th, Rick arrived. When I tried, too, he stated Corey would arrive. But he informed me that the residence was I trusted his handwriting because it was soundproof. Experts verified that there were no indications of every page in that journal wasn't fake. Only a recollection, a suppressed cry for assistance that was, at last, made public, and the evidence became increasingly disturbing. Prosecutors disclosed recovered text emails and texts from Corey and Rick's phones. One message sent to Corey by Rick sent only 2 days following a diary entry. Read, "She's misbehaving." Again, "She may need a reminder of who brought her up." Time stamped at 2:14 a.m. From Corey, said "Your turn tonight." These weren't what simply messages that were pierced by bullets via the meticulously constructed exterior of two men were once displayed, as representations of the courthouse shrank in response to American achievement. Rick's voicemail was played out loud. Voice cold and threatening. "You're fortunate to, you would be trash if you lived here without me." The system wasn't merely a danger, it was a power statement, a warning, that his notoriety served as a shield and that nobody would dare dispute it. But the truth was even more profound. Gloria Mendoza. The former housekeeper for the family took the fright, her eyes watering. She recalled the terrifying moment when she unintentionally saw Rick without a shirt. Perched atop the girl's bed, she peered, choking through sobs. Frozen Gloria in his gaze. He appeared to desire to, for seeing something I shouldn't have, kill me. She resigned on the same day, although she was afraid of. She remained mute due to Rick's influence until. Then Brett Cummings made a delivery. Driver who left the vehicle with proof-startled stillness in the courtroom, as a recording, unintentionally recorded by his phone through the mansion's walls. The voice of a distraught girl could be heard. 3 words. "Please, don't repeat the." Although the audio was brief, it cut through each individual in the space, and maybe the most startling finding appeared in the form of a letter discovered within an old desk. It was deep in Rick's storage room, written by his hand, and only his Richard Benjamin Harrison, the father cherished elderly porn star. No one was the intended recipient of the letter. Just write. To anyone finds this. There's a letter. He wrote, "I no longer feel well in this house. Has the fortitude to confront it. May God, please pardon me if I've been too distracted. Extended." These weren't merely words that were a last troubled admission and evidence that the shadows inside the Harrisons had been suffering for years, disregarded by everyone, who opted into silence, and the young woman throughout it all stayed steadfast as she spoke testimony for 4 hours in a row, her voice never. She talked of being compelled to break, refer to their perverse mistreatment as family love of evenings, spent huddled up and acting like deceased in the hopes of getting away. "They took anything," she said, glancing at, "but they didn't take my voice," the jury said, "and I'm using it now." That wasn't simply testimony, which was an assertion that she was a warrior now, not a victim. Rick remained at the defendant's table with Hishi's face, with his hands shaking and his head down, angry, and appeared prepared to detonate, but neither ventured to raise their ears because the woman's eyes are. The loudest voice was once muted. The case's eruption in the room didn't confine themselves to the courtroom as her testimony went viral on social media, sparked hashtags such as #NumberJustice to she and the number porn stars were revealed, poured over the internet with accounts from further victims of abuse who found bravery in her news. Her words were repeatedly broadcast on the stations. Take turns saying that one sentence with me became a representation of long-forgotten facts. The world was once captivated by Rick, and now Corey Harrison gazed at them with disgust. But to the young lady, this wasn't about getting even, but rather about freedom. She had broken the translucent cage that had previously imprisoned her, and the shards that were falling were dragging down the whole Harrison empire. The flame from her confession continued to burn, blazing steadily and slowly without ceasing, lowering each meticulously built. The Harrison family's delusion of ashes, Clark County Court, had evolved into more than merely it had changed from a seat of judgment to an arena. Truth against deceit. A TV's decline dynasty was taking shape in front of a shocked worldwide viewership when Corey Harrison became weak and took the stand, furiously angry. Everyone in the courtroom fell silent, held their breath, and waited for a defense that could potentially save what remained of his deteriorating legacy. However, what came next wasn't just the A-man's collapse, was the whole. The breakup of a family was previously celebrated. As a representation of America, Corey, once cozy, in the light of the camera of porn stars, now appeared to be in a corner. The prosecutors keen and persistent, preventing him from breathing. Do you deny being involved in the abuse of the sister you adopted? She questioned her, steel-cold voice. Corey's mouth tensed. Without a doubt, these charges are false. Illusions of someone who wants to ruin. His voice wavered, though, and he previously exuded confidence on something had broken on television. The prosecutor developed a piece that was flimsy, of paper, a diary page discovered in Corey's messy handwriting from home read. I see her expression, and I believe we went too far. In my fantasies, but I'm feeling nothing. Only worry that she'll tell that the air seemed to have been Corey's cheeks flushed as he was sucked from the room. It wasn't me who was red when he exploded. She's crazy, and you're twisting everything. She has consistently lied. We gave her a life by manipulating her. His outburst would not have happened otherwise. Simply denying that a confession was made in out of desperation. There were gasps in the courtroom, and the judge banged the gavel in whispers, requesting an order, but Corey persisted in his. You folks don't know, said the voice. When it comes to our family, she's the one who ruined all she owned. Unappreciative. His outburst did not preserve, it simply made the grave more profound for him. Both for himself and his Rick Harrison, father, is seated at the. The defendant never looked up from his table. The individual who formerly commanded a whole, the media conglomerate, was now crouched over his hands, shaking and clutching the edge of Thetable. He opted for quiet, refusing to testify as a sign rather than a tactic. Of complete mental fall within Rick's Clark County Jail, wasn't a TV personality anymore. He was just another prisoner trapped in a chilly concrete cell in intense fluorescent lighting that only increased the intensity of his dreams. According to actual correctional officials, Rick would spend hours refusing to eat, gazing at the cement wall in blankness, murmuring about what he believed to be voice, heard the derisive giggling of the masses, rumors of unseen adversaries in one. His paranoid outburst caused him to yell at a guard. The main idea is that they are fabricating it. They want to ruin me with money, but no one said that his popularity meant nothing while he was in jail. In solitary confinement, he was placed, following another prisoner who learned of Rick's crimes that would have forced him to leave. The yard Rick currently lives in complete solitude, the sound of his own voice haunting him, footsteps and an unavoidable truth. The disintegration of the Harrison household didn't wind up in jail or court, dispersed like an earthquake, causing everything to shudder. Everything that used to keep them together. The half-brother of Adam Corey, who had a lengthy stepped back from the limelight, publicly severed all connections in a breathtaking. He declared, I'm disgusted and I'm devastated by what has emerged. Not spoken to Corey or Rick in a long time. After 7 years, I see I was correct. I'm leaving my heart with the victim. His remarks resembled the last cut that severed the remnants of a broken Joanne Harrison. Rick's familial bondmom didn't say anything, unwilling to make an appearance in court or address the media. However, a reliable source disclosed that she once told a pal that I had a suspicion was incorrect, but I was too scared to admit it. Her quiet was not regarded as innocence, but in the eyes of others, complicity of the general public. Former workers of the Harrison family started to speak up, revealing a culture of control and fear. An experienced pawn shop employee shared, "Rick was comparable to a monarch, if you asked. He was in control of everything you were gone." Everything. We discussed, including how we seen a former family acquaintance on camera who ever went to a Christmas celebration at Remembering at their mansion. That girl always sat by himself in a corner without uttering. I had assumed she was simply shy, but suddenly I understand that she was yelling for assistance through her eyes. Once disregarded, these pieces have now combined to create a terrifying vision of a household engulfed in power, secrecy, and selfishness is the pawn of gold and silver. Store used to be a place of pilgrimage for. The thousands of tourists are immediately shut down. Forever, its colourful billboards have been removed, and the remaining employees are left feeling perplexed. Unsure of their prospects in the History Channel's historic transfer porn stars were instantly removed from there, removing all evidence of the program from Las Vegas as a city on its broadcast schedule that formerly honoured Rick as a native. The icon has abandoned him. Eateries, lodging facilities, and nearby companies hastily deleted autographed pictures of Rick and Corey as though they had become a persistent disgrace to the public. After captivated by the Harrison family's victims' rights organizations exploded in rage, now stage a demonstration outside the courthouse whilst the words, "Justice for her no monsters pity." Social media is overflowing with accounts from people who survived maltreatment, from which many people get their strength. The bravery of one user's foster daughter said, "She is our voice, and she broke it." The quiet that we were too scared to disturb. The Harrison family's demise isn't simply a court case. It's a awakening that serves as a reminder of how and authority can conceal the most sinister of misdeeds, as well as from that empire's ashes. The foster daughter does not present herself as a victim while serving as a truth-bearer, compelling the world to ultimately. She lighted a spark of justice, but look, simply destroy the Harrison dynasty, lit the dark nooks and crannies of places in society where fame and power are. This lawsuit isn't simply about protecting the guilty, concerning a family dissecting, a mirror illustrating the negative aspects of fame worship where we are blinded by the spotlight. Because the girl was once unseen in a mansion's shadows has turned into an emblem of unwavering fortitude. After years of being voiceless, she rose and took it back, not only for herself, but for innumerable others left behind by. Her testimony was a stone in the system, dropped into motionless water, creating rippling effects around the globe and igniting a worldwide discussion of abuse in influential families, revealing the shortcomings of society when it heedlessly prioritizes celebrity over morality. We learn from this case that truth, regardless of how deeply buried, the ability to tear down barriers of deceit serves as a reminder that justice is more than a court decision that it believes in, and bringing our softest whispers to life. That young lady with her remarkable. She ignited bravery to transform suffering into purpose. The way for further survivors and shuddered. Don't let the brightness of the awake world to fame makes us oblivious to the evils of crime. Her tale is more than just a triumph for herself. It is a demand and a call to action for alteration, to ensure that no one must endure quiet.